Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining Peeling Back the Layers of Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Loronda Giddens. Zachariah Bourne is a personal development and dating coach. He emphasizes self-development through happiness, focus, and self-love. Hello, Zachariah. How are you?
I am really fantastic. I feel great. I just got off of a coaching call, so I'm really pumped right now.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
Wonderful. Good. Happy to hear that.
This is so amazing. Are you still in Thailand?
I am, yeah. I'm in Chiang Mai.
Oh wow, what are you doing over there?
I am living my best life.
That is so awesome. I'm so excited to
Thank
talk
you.
to you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
I appreciate you inviting me.
So, why don't you tell the audience about yourself? Who is Zachariah Bourne?
Sure. So I'm a personal development and dating coach. I help a lot of people to become much more confident, to find a lot of love for themselves and for others, to really change their inner programming, their self-concept, and to help them, especially with their relationships and dating life.
Cool. I'm excited to talk about that whole dating and relationship thing. I'm excited about that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, tell me about little Zachariah. When you were a little kid, what did you aspire to be?
It wasn't a personal development coach. I was a musician when I was young, and I was a guitar player, and I wanted to be in a famous rock band, but I always really like arts and artistic things. And
Mhm.
I started acting when I was in high school, and actually acting was the path through which I found personal development. And when I was young, I used to be a very depressed person. I was, on medication and I was in therapy, and I got into personal development, and it really radically changed my life, and I've been the happiest person I know for, I don't know, 8, 9 years, I don't know, something like that. And so that was like a huge shift for me, a really big moment for sure.
That's fantastic. I want to talk more about the personal development part also a little bit later on. So, when I asked you to come on the show and you heard the title of the podcast, Peeling Back the Layers of Your Life, what were you
Yes.
thinking about that when you heard Peeling Back the Layers of Your Life?
Well, for me, peeling back the layers is really finding out what's sort of under the hood for us, and understanding what's going on in our minds and our beliefs and our belief systems, and really peeling back to the core of who we really are, which I have a real passion of helping people try to find that with themselves.
That's awesome. And that's really a great articulation because that was exactly my intention when I came up with this
Perfect.
whole concept about peeling back the layers of your life. Probably, God, around 2001, 2003, somewhere around that time frame.
Oh, wow.
And it
Beautiful.
has just evolved, from that standpoint. So it's just an interesting question that I've been asking my guests lately. What do you think about? And to hear people articulate it the way that I intended is, I'm really excited
Mm.
and happy about that.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I really felt that. I really love that title.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course.
So, how did you become a dating coach? Like, how did you switch from like music? You still do music today, don't you? Do songwriting?
I,
You still play?
I do. I do. I still songwrite, I still play, and I still really enjoy it, but it's not my main focus. So I got into dating coaching through personal development. So I started off as a personal development coach about 5 years ago, and people kept coming to me for dating and relationship advice, and I noticed I was particularly good at it. And a
Hmm.
lot of people were looking for love and for understanding it. And I had spent a tremendous amount of time contemplating it in my life and seeing different perspectives. And I realized that relationships are all about personal development.
Yeah.
It's really the core, the cornerstone, the foundation of any relationship that you have. Because the one thing you have in every relationship is always yourself.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I noticed, yeah, thanks. I noticed that people really don't know how powerful they are and how much of a influence that they can have and how they can create things how they want them to be, especially their relationships, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I started helping people doing general personal development with relationships, and I decided to specialize that in a little bit more because I was getting a lot of success from it.
So why do you think people were coming to you? What was it about you that people were drawn to that you could give them, that level of insight about themselves and relationships?
Well, when I started off, maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that, I started helping people online through Facebook groups and things like that.
Hmm.
People, I think, really enjoyed my responses to particularly about the subject of relationships because I think it's something that I have a lot of passion for myself. And, when I was young, I was not particularly successful with women at all. And I really liked, when I was really young in like middle school or high school, I was really kind of, girl crazy. I liked girls a lot, and I was not successful at all at that time. And so I think I created a lot of desire to have this area of my life be good. And I think it's probably part of that energy that I've been able to really figure out for myself and really improve that area of my life. I think people feel drawn to that.
That's awesome. Yeah, because that,
Thank
that's
you.
an energy that you put out there, and obviously people are drawn
Yeah.
to that. So that's fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, in your opinion, why do you think we have so many challenges in relationships?
Well, I think the main thing about relationships is we have so many beliefs about them. We have so
Yeah.
many expectations on what we believe that a relationship should be or is, and they're so radically different from what other people believe. And we don't realize that other people have such a different definition or expectation on what they should or shouldn't do in a relationship.
Hmm.
And instead, we're not really just allowing it to be the experience for what it is, and for us to create. A lot of times, we put the responsibility on the other person to please
Yeah.
us, to make us happy.
Yeah.
You need to do this or you need to not do this so that I can be happy. And instead, what I really like to encourage people to do is to find their own independence from that. And so that they can really find their own happiness no matter what's going on. They can be freed from the need for someone else to please them and from all those expectations and so forth. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of people have trouble.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've always said that in order for you to, it's not about someone coming into your life and just magically making everything just wonderful. You have to do your own self work, and you have to have your
Absolutely.
own level of self awareness about
Yes.
your belief systems about relationships and understanding. Maybe you grew up in a household where there was two parents or single parents or whatever the family dynamics were, and
Definitely.
those relationships shaped how you respond and react in the world and how you relate to other people. And, sometimes those belief systems, and, that's the whole point of the peeling of the layers, is to really understand that those certain belief systems may have worked when you were 6 and 7 and 10 and 12 years old, when you were younger. But as you get older, you have to develop your own belief systems and understanding about yourself and how you relate to people. And to me,
Yes.
that was one of the
Beautifully
hardest
said.
things. Hmm?
Yeah. Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Yeah, it's just
Absolutely.
relationships
Mhm.
and love was like, I remember one time I was watching Oprah Winfrey show years ago when
Mhm.
she was still on.
She's amazing.
She
She's my
is
hero.
fabulous. I know, right? And she
Uh-huh.
was having a conversation with Gary Zukav, the author of Seed of the Soul. And she asked
Mhm.
him, Gary, what was the most challenging thing that ever happened in your life? What is the thing that has challenged you the most in your lifetime? And you know what he said?
What?
He said, love.
Mm.
And
Mm.
when he said that, it literally just opened the door. The doors just kind of flew open for me because it was like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. It's like the
Mhm.
most challenging thing that I've ever had to like understand and uncover about myself. And one of the things that just really devastated me the most, Zachariah,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
knowing that I was emotionally immature. And I didn't learn that until later in my 40s. I'm 53, and I didn't learn that until about 5 or 6 years ago. And when it came
Mm.
out, I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And I was devastated.
Oh,
But,
mhm.
I really, once I got over that initial shock, I really started to peel the layers to understand why, what was the root cause of
Mm.
why I felt the way I felt. And when I figured that out, it was like, wow.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and we all have those amazing self-discoveries in us that are so important. And they're beautiful when we like realize about them. I know I have a lot of those and I'm like, oh, of course, as soon as I realize it, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? I should have
Yeah,
known better. We beat
yeah.
up on ourselves, although that's not, yeah, it's never productive for us to beat up on ourselves.
No, not at
Um,
all.
but it's wonderful to have these realizations about ourselves, and that's how we expand and move forward, and that's
Hmm.
how we get the desire to create things like this show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To
So
provide insight
yeah.
for other people who may not have ever thought that. So if someone were to hear me
Mm,
say, and people probably would be shocked to hear me say that, I think
mm,
that would probably open something, within them to say, wow, maybe I need to dig a little bit deeper and, have a better understanding of myself as it relates to
of course.
relationships.
Of course, and it's endless. Even if we live for 200 years, it's an endless subject that
Yeah,
will become richer and deeper, just like we will.
yeah, absolutely.
And there's always more self-discovery to be done and to be made. Yeah,
But the interesting
yeah,
part about it is the more self discovery there is, the more I yearn for that, the more I yearn to learn more about myself so I can be a better person and reach that highest self, whatever that highest self is. But just
right.
constantly striving for that part of me to reveal itself in a really great and amazing way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's the joy of life, right? Is
Yeah.
is expanding and evolving and becoming more. Because if we're ever not moving forward, it gets not very exciting real quick.
Yeah, life's pretty boring.
Yeah. I think being able to change those belief systems into something that serves us is a really exciting thing, because all of a sudden, if we feel love flows to us easily, and then it
Hmm.
does because we believe that,
Yeah.
or we can all of a sudden start perceiving the love that's already there. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize how radically different and better their life can be.
Yeah. But I think,
So,
people are really afraid to truly love, like to really
hmm,
just kind of open up and to receive love and to give love. People are afraid of that. They run from that and they busy
yeah,
themselves and distract themselves so they don't have to think about that part of their life. The thing that they think
yeah.
about the most is, oh, I was hurt badly,
Mhm.
for my last relationship or the last four relationships or,
Right,
whatever that number is. And they just kind of carry that around. And, they
right,
may meet somebody really amazing, but then they push the person away because they just don't want to feel that pain anymore. And it's
right. They
sad.
don't want to feel that pain, that loss, and so forth. And actually, it's funny you say that, because that's almost an exact copy of the coaching call I just got off of.
Oh, wow.
Um, she's a great woman, and she had what she felt was a pretty devastating loss recently, and so I'm helping her through that. But what's really cool thing that we were doing today is we were creating the emotional state of love
Hmm.
without needing a person to be there. So we just started off like finding something to love. And it took us a few minutes to like kind of find something that we could feel joy and appreciation and that euphoric state of love about.
Hmm.
And we got her in that state of really feeling that love very strongly. And she's like, oh my God, my best friend, I love her. It's
Wow.
so fun to be with her, and it's so great to be with her. And she started feeling good. And then you find more things to feel that in love feeling about. Oh,
Yeah.
and I love, she's like, oh, I love New York, and I love donuts, and I love
Hmm.
meeting new people, and I love being in a group where we're all going out and have fun. And it's like all of a sudden she's naming 50 and 100 things, and
That's
then
awesome.
what's so cool about this is right now, you don't need someone else in order to feel in love. You're completely free, that you can start loving. You found 50 things, 100 things to love, to feel that same feeling about.
Wow,
And
that's
when we
beautiful.
realize that, thanks, that we're in control um, of that love, then we're not so worried about other people taking that away from us.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this post that you posted when I was doing my research and I was,
Sure.
tinkering around on your Instagram page. And you put a post up one day. You said that when you break up with someone, getting over
Mhm.
that person takes about 2 days. Please explain that.
Well, okay, yeah, sure. And that's been a little controversial. It's not really about 2 days, and it was just more of a personal goal for me, and
hmm
one I've actually been able to successfully do.
Really?
Um, yes, and I'll explain a little bit deeper because a little bit of it is just get people's attention that they don't. I think a lot of people have this belief that they need to hurt for a long time, and if they don't care.
Mm,
Um, but the hurt really comes um, from thinking about unwanted. And if we can really break down emotion to its simplest form, it really just comes down to this. If you're thinking about wanted, you feel good. If you think about unwanted, you feel bad. And so when people are hurt after a breakup, they're thinking about loss. They're thinking about not feeling good enough. They're thinking that their life's going to be worse. They're thinking negative thoughts about themselves, right?
hmm
So they're strongly thinking about unwanted. And my point is you don't want to focus so much on unwanted. Here's, if you can get yourself focused back on wanted,
hmm
then you're not in pain anymore. In essence, you're over it because you're no longer thinking about the loss. And that's sort of my point is don't make anyone else more important than how you feel,
Yeah.
than yourself and your own well-being, your own happiness. And if you can guide your thoughts back, right? And my point with the 2 days is, okay, so you have a separation, and then the next day you're gonna become very clear on what you do want,
hmm
because it's gonna be pretty painful thinking about what you don't want.
Right.
And then the next day use it to focus on the wanted side of that,
hmm
and then that gives you your 2 days. And it's not the easiest thing to do, but my point was some people, including myself, have been heartbroken or upset about something for years,
Yeah.
and it's unnecessary. Just because I didn't understand my emotions and how to focus my mind and how to think
hmm
about wanted. And so when you do learn how to do this, you realize that you don't have to stay there so long.
Yeah.
And you don't have to hurt so much. You can get yourself back on your feet and get yourself focused on what is wanted in your life and the positive aspects of your life. And that's how you get over something. You think about the positive end of relationships, and you move that emotion into a more positive place. And once you do, you are actually over it.
Mm. And it's interesting. I totally agree with that. I can
Yeah,
say
thank
that
you.
now because I'm more evolved in the sense
Right.
that
You've had
I,
time into this,
yes,
right?
I don't have,
Exactly.
I don't focus on what I don't want. I only focus on
Mm,
what I do want. So I think when you
right.
focus on the things that you don't want and the things that you're missing, you just get more of it. It's that law of attraction thing.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
if you have the ability and you've learned just that principle, but most people aren't there. They're not, they haven't
They're
really,
not there yet.
yeah, they don't
Well,
really
but
understand that concept.
it's true. Well, that's why I made the video, so that they can start becoming more aware of the concept,
Yeah.
and to sort of plant that seed in them that, things can get better. And to give them sort of impetus or a reason to really to learn this stuff, because I
hmm
think a lot of these really hard times and heartbreak, that's what got me into personal development. I was devastated by this woman when I was in college, and that's really what spurred me into personal development. And because I didn't feel good enough for this person, so I totally push them away. And I had an extremely negative experience from some of the things that she did or whatever. But
Yeah.
it was all me and what was going on within me. And
Mhm.
that's actually an empowering thing.
It
It's not
is.
yeah, it's an empowering thing. And we're able to move past things as you develop much faster. I mean, ideally, you're gonna end up having a breakup, and you're not gonna sweat it at all. Actually,
Yeah.
if you can keep loving that person, if you
Yeah.
can maintain a state of love about that person, and wish them well and bless them, you're not
Yeah.
gonna feel anything.
Yeah. You're
And
right.
so, yeah.
You're
And I was able to
absolutely
do that too. Someone I really loved and cared about said, listen, I think it's not working out. And we're still close friends today.
right.
And
Mhm.
I didn't feel any pain. It just felt natural, it felt right. I just wished them well. I was happy
Yeah.
for them. And I didn't feel any pain at all. And I think for a lot of people, that's kind of, feels impossible or mind blowing or
Mhm.
something, but it's very possible.
Yeah. It
And yeah.
is.
Mhm.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on this? I saw another post just somewhere on Facebook or social media somewhere, and
Sure.
it said, when you understand a person's trauma, that is a love language. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's very helpful to be able to maintain that sort of in love state, that euphoric, joyful state about someone,
Hmm.
and even when they're showing signs of their trauma or things that have happened for them. And that's how we really create change in people too, is, people may act out things that have happened to them in the past. I mean, we all do to some degree. If we can maintain that love and maintain that state toward that person, I think that can be really beneficial. But I don't like to focus on people's trauma. And if you're in an in love state and you're loving them, you're not going to see it as trauma. You're going to just see it as a unique, interesting aspect of that person. And you won't get drawn into it in a negative way. You'll be able to stay detached and keep that positive, loving clarity.
Hmm.
Kind of like how a parent, when a child's having a tantrum or
Right.
something like that, you
Yeah.
can get drawn into it, or you can just understand that this is just part of the process. And adults are the same way, but we just give them way more credit. But really,
Yeah.
they're not that different than children, and they, kids say mean things to people sometimes, but
Yeah,
we're not
they
really
do.
bothered by it.
Yeah.
We're not really bothered by it because it's, we realize that it's sort of harmless, but adults are kind of the same way too, but we think that they're not as much. But we get sucked into it still. But if we can maintain that state, that loving clarity,
Hmm.
and I think it's very helpful.
That's an interesting way to put that. I like that. I like your perspective and your
Thank
point
you
of
so much.
view on these things. This is really interesting. Yeah, it'll
Thank
give
you.
me something to think about.
All right, perfect. Yeah, wonderful.
So, what is your love language?
My love language?
Hmm.
Wow. I would say my love language really is alignment, but out of the five, my love language, I guess, is physical touch. I really love affection. That's something I really like. It feels very sort of primal, and um, that's something I really like. But I think alignment, that's really my love language. Someone who's really good at being happy, shining that happiness on the things around them. I think that I think that's the sexy thing. I think that's
Hmm.
sexy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
Well,
Definitely.
thank you.
So, let's talk about happiness. What is your definition of happiness, and why do you feel that it eludes so many people?
Well, so happiness, a lot of times people, really think of happiness or being happy as this sort of out there thing, something that you just kind of like achieve. And it's really something that you embody right there, moment to moment. And it really has to do with your thoughts, what you're thinking, right?
Hmm.
You can wake up and create happiness in you spontaneously because you choose to. And a lot of people, I think, don't realize this. And that's something that really changed everything for me, is realizing how to create happiness, how to get that going within myself. And Here's a game I play with people when I'm coaching them, and I'm like, okay, we can play the wanted or unwanted game, right? If you want, we can try it real quick if you want.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So the wanted or unwanted game is it helps you kind of take inventory of your thoughts because if you're thinking about something wanted, you feel good. If you think about something unwanted, you feel bad. It really simplifies emotions. If you continually think about wanted, you'll feel better and better and better. If you think about unwanted over and over again, you'll feel worse and worse and worse. And so if you can, like you said, you're already good at this. So you know how to think about wanted. So what I'll do is I'll say something and then you'll say wanted or unwanted.
Okay.
It's really basic. And then I'll move to the next one and to the next one. A trip to the beach, wanted or unwanted?
Wanted.
Wanted. Okay. Going to a great concert, wanted or unwanted?
Wanted.
Okay. All right. Being stuck in traffic, wanted or unwanted?
Totally unwanted. I'm in traffic every
So,
day.
all right. Totally unwanted. Right. And so, right. When we think about traffic, right, we feel bad. And so yeah, that's kind of the game we play. Okay. So too much to do and not enough time to do it. Wanted or unwanted?
Hmm. I'll say unwanted, but that's a tricky one because I feel like if you prioritize,
Hmm.
you can kind of manage that process.
Well, if I said being productive and kicking butt, you would say wanted very easily,
Wanted,
right?
yes.
Yeah, wanted, right? Wanted. Right. Okay. So good, good. And that's the thing for individuals, they're going to have different, you're going to have different wants. Some people might not want to go to the beach. Some people
Right.
might want to, want something else. But what you can do is analyze your thoughts. Like all the time, you can be thinking, okay, is this thought wanted or unwanted? Is this thought
Hmm.
wanted or unwanted? If you can keep thinking, okay, wanted thought, wanted thought, wanted thought, wanted thought, wanted thought. If you can continually keep doing that minute after minute,
Hmm.
and then especially if you can do it probably in 20 or 30 minutes, you can get yourself up into happiness for most people. Might take a few hours for some people.
Yeah,
And you got to get good at it, but that's how you can literally create happiness. Anyone can do it just
that's
like
pretty
that.
cool. I like that. That's
Thank you.
very cool. Why do you think so many people don't really focus on personal development? Because I
I
hear a
think
lot of
people,
people focusing on professional development. You hear a lot about professional development all the time, and you hear
yeah,
about personal development, but not as much. There's more emphasis on the professional development.
professional development. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think people have no clue just how powerful this stuff is.
yeah,
I think people just don't know because your professional development, it can only help you so much. Professional development is mostly about pleasing someone else, and being better at your job so you can make more money for other people.
hmm,
And it'll get you forward too, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's good to develop yourself no matter what. But
right.
I think with personal development, I think people don't realize that it's like dynamite.
Yeah,
You know,
it is.
it is, and the I think people don't realize what an extreme positive effect this can have on the experience, not just on the experience of your life and how you experience it, but on your level of success, your relationships. I think we've barely even scratched the surface what we can do with personal development,
Yeah,
and yeah, I just think people just don't know just how incredibly, incredibly, unbelievably powerful this stuff is.
yeah,
And
it is.
personal development will help you with your professional development. It can put you light years ahead of professional development, light
I
years
tell
in your
people that all
professional
the
life.
time. I tell
Yeah,
people that all the
exactly.
time. Like when you're
It,
growing
uh,
personally, your professional life is going to literally explode.
explode. Well, you might even do something even better, get out of professional life and start your own business and then
That
become
too.
really successful. You're not going to be climbing the ladder, you're going to own the ladder.
That's right. I love
You're going to
that.
own the ladder. Yeah.
I love
And
it.
and that's how I design my life. I'm free. I'm totally free. I do what I love in paradise. I can travel to places. I get to experience unique things. I'm on the other side of the world right now just because I want to be. And anyone can create that. We can all do it, and it's all personal development.
Yeah,
There's no way in hell I would have gotten here without personal development at all.
I agree
It's
with that 100%. I
thank
do.
you, thank
How
you.
do you
Yeah,
define greatness?
greatness, greatness is really coming into your potential more. I think it's uncovering, peeling back the layers, and discovering the magnificence that you are and really amplifying that out to the benefit of the world. I think that is real true greatness.
That's awesome. What is your
Thank
personal
you.
greatness?
My personal what is greatness for me, for
Hmm. For
my
you.
life?
What personal greatness do you offer to the world?
Well, my personal greatness, I think I try to wake up and radiate well-being and happiness and creating a wonderful life. And I try to help people do the same. I can't help people do the same if I don't do it myself. So I think if I can help someone become happier, truly happier, and be in control of their life, the impact of that is more than anything else I can do on this earth, right? Even if
Hmm.
I became a famous songwriter, great songs, people say change the world, but not like personal development does.
Yeah,
Nothing has the impact that this stuff does. I think helping people do that is the greatest contribution I can make. But also my own love and happiness is also my greatest contribution I can make too.
awesome. So, what
Thank
layers
you.
did you have to peel in order to get to your greatness? You talked a little bit about that earlier, um,
Oh,
but what
oh,
layers?
so many.
I
Oh, where to start? This,
know.
where to start? So I got into personal development 14 years ago. I can't even begin to imagine how many, even just this week, probably 100 layers it feels like.
Wow.
Um, it will. I'm sure you experience that in a lot of ways too. Not literally a
Yeah.
hundred, but
Yeah.
as you progress, you find more and more things that you can realize, and oh wow, that's interesting about me, or that's interesting about the world. We have these realizations
Hmm.
and new perspectives that we can gain. I think the layers that I've really peeled back have a lot to do with discovering my own thoughts, discovering my beliefs, realizing that I can change them to whatever I want to be. And when I do change them, things really change. That's how real change is created, is to install new beliefs, to create an idea that you want to be true in your life and to repeat it to yourself in a way until it is. And it really works. You see it with really successful people all the time.
Hmm.
Muhammad Ali has a great quote. It's something he said, I'm the greatest. I said this even when I wasn't,
Mm.
or I said this until I was the greatest.
Yeah.
And, Lady Gaga said something really extremely similar. And you'll notice that all these huge titans, as we think of them as titans, but they're just regular people with
Hmm.
titan-like belief systems.
Yeah.
They do very similar things. So yeah, I think it's in being able to choose beliefs, choose my thoughts, and realizing the power of that. I think is really the biggest part of the layers peeling back.
Was there a pivotal moment in your life that just literally changed the trajectory?
Well, discovering personal development, I think, was a really big one. My professor got me into it. I was really depressed at the time, and she was like, "Listen, you got to check this stuff out," and I did, and it sort of like blew my mind.
Mm.
You mean I have control over this depression? I remember thinking that emotions were kind of like in the way, and from me being like this robot who went out and succeeded at things, but that's no way to live. But I remember thinking that that was like the case. Like, what are the point of my emotions? And not realizing that they were my best friends the whole time. I think that was a really pivotal moment.
That's awesome. What is your
Thank you.
favorite book and why?
Oh, so many. So many great ones. So many great ones. Hard to choose. I'm a big fan of a lot of different books. I'm a big Abraham Hicks fan.
Me
I,
too. And you know
yeah,
what? Let me say this. Let me be honest and tell you. that when I
Sure.
watched your interview with Janica, she's going to be on the show, by the way, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, wonderful.
When I
Yeah.
was listening to you, I could hear Abraham Hicks in you. I could hear
Oh,
little
yeah.
things that you were saying when you were talking
Hmm.
about reaching for good feeling emotions, and said, yeah, he's a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan, and yeah, they've helped. They've helped me a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I like a lot of other books. Actually, I like a lot of very old personal development books too.
Hmm.
Some that are like over 100 years old.
Oh,
But
wow.
it's amazing because they feel like they've been written yesterday. There's a great
Yeah.
book called The Master Key System by Charles Hannell.
Hmm.
Um, Also, there's a woman in New York wrote this book, not quite 100 years ago, but almost. Florence Scovel Shinn. She has several books. They're all really great. But her most famous book is The Game of Life and How to Play It.
You know what?
These are
Somebody
all
recommended that book to me.
It's a great book. I highly recommend picking it up. Yeah, there's a lot of really great books. That one's a little bit more on the metaphysical side of personal development. Actually,
Hmm.
all of these a little bit are.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of fantastic teachers. I like so many people. It's hard to really describe. There's a lot of really great things out there.
Awesome. So tell me, Zachariah, what inspires you?
What inspires me?
Hmm.
I love seeing the great work of other people. That inspires me to create something great. I love finding a really good book because that makes me want to write one. That makes me feel the way that it feels for me to read their book. Yeah, I think people's happiness, nature inspires me. I always Traveling inspires me. Being on the road somewhere,
Hmm.
like on a bus or in a train or in a plane going somewhere,
Yeah.
some reason I always get inspiration. All these ideas come to me when I'm doing that. Taking
Really?
showers, yeah.
Taking
But for some
showers,
reason,
yes.
yes, I don't know why. It's a great inspiration zone. But yeah, something about just being able to look out the window, having nothing specific you have to be doing. It's just a great place to foster fantastic ideas. Taking a walk. Yeah, something about moving and traveling or going somewhere does it.
That's cool. What's next for
Mhm.
you? So let
What's
me just say
next?
this. When I asked that question, now I'm kind of asking it on a different level, in the sense that, what is your next level of greatness? What is the next, like, great thing that you want to do?
Well, I would really like to impact relationships in a really big way. I would love to be able to change the way people interact in relationships, how they think about them, how rich and delicious they can be. I want to help relationships become so much more for people and to really understand them, realize that they don't have to feel the negative aspects of them or the pain of them. And even when they do, it can be a very positive thing. I would really love to change relationships for the better. I think we really haven't scratched the surface of how rich and amazing and incredible relationships can be. And so if I can help people on as big a scale as I can to do that, I think would be really exceptional and really wonderful.
That's awesome. I could totally see that happening for you.
Thank you very much.
Totally. So how can the listeners find you?
Sure. So you can always find me on Instagram. You can write in my name, Zachariah Bourne, and you can follow me on there. I post little daily inspirational quotes and I post videos on there. I have a YouTube channel. I have like 80 videos on my YouTube. You can also you can follow me on Facebook. You can put my name in there, and I also have a having a great relationship Facebook group called the Romance Academy with Zachariah Bourne. So yeah, that's a Facebook group you can join. Feel free to jump in there, and I post all kinds of stuff, and you interact with me there as well. If you're looking for coaching, you can reach out to me too.
Awesome. Zachariah, thank you. So I love your name, by the way. I just love saying it.
Thank you. You're very kind. I really appreciate that. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for joining me. I appreciate you accepting the invitation and being such an awesome guest on my show.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, it was my pleasure. I was very happy to be here. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you so much for listening to Peeling Back the Layers of Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Loronda Giddens. You can connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching my name, but the best way to find me is on my website at www.lorondacgiddens.com. I'll see you next time, everybody.